So you think your heart's all about the lovey-dovey stuff? You couldn't be more wrong. Come, listen to the greatest love story that you have never heard before. Let's move into the heart. Full disclosure, I am a hopeless romantic. But today we're not going into the romance of the heart, the happily ever after. We're going into the seat of the heart, where our values, our compassion, our sense of purpose, where they all live. So if you spent years living up to the expectation of other people, then it might be that you feel disconnected from your heart. Now, you'll have met people in the past, right, who can sort of tell you so much information about a topic, but ask them how they feel about that topic, right? And what you might be met with is a confused face and maybe even the words, I don't know. And this can often mean that somebody's been living from their heads and not their heart. And it makes sense because the head, it seeks certainty. It really does. It wants the evidence to show you that you're safe, right? Whereas the heart, it can leave us feeling a little bit vulnerable. The heart sort of asks questions that make us think, oh no, there might be something that I need to change here. Questions like, what do I want more of? What do I want less of? What makes me happy? And when we ask the head that, the head's coming in with the answers, but when we take that to the heart, it's a more sort of deeper question that we are asking ourselves. And it might even include something along the lines of risk or letting go of something that needs to change, that in fact we've known needs to change for a while. I worked with a lady last summer and she'd come to me because she'd felt that she had lost her sense of purpose, who she was. And when we got into things and started a coaching session, it was fairly clear that she was really unhappy at her work and she was beginning to really dislike where it was that she worked. This sense of purpose and identity was always for her wrapped in her career. And then we sat down and we worked out what her career values were. And it was quite interesting because right at the top of her career values was the words respect, fairness, and then some other words as well. But she had thought that with the place that she was working in wasn't a culture that had respect for the colleagues that were working there. It wasn't a fair environment either, in her opinion. She didn't find it a very fair place to work anymore. And when she saw this and she saw that her values no longer aligned with what it was that she was doing, especially because, like I'd said earlier, her identity was so wrapped up in her values, in her work and her occupation. And it was interesting because the feedback that came after that was, oh no, once I've seen it, I can't unsee it. Once I know, I can't not know anymore. And that's so true, isn't it? Once we know something and we find something out, we can't not know it. And for her, the values that she had were being conflicted with the actual place that she went to work now. So she decided to leave that role, leave that position and apply for another job elsewhere. But what came along with her now was this new formed sense of identity that if this new place of work didn't tick her boxes of her values, then she wouldn't really last long there, and it might have made her return to square one again of questioning her purpose, questioning what was going on for her. And it's so true. It's almost like these values for her showed up as these were real kind of, you could almost say, must-haves. These were real requirements that she had to have in order to work somewhere. So she'd found a new job and she was much happier, and she had decided that yes, in fact, it was because there was a conflict in her values. And that is all heart-based work. When we look at our values, it's all heart-based, because when we begin to feel like our values are being shuggled, and you'll know it, you will know when this has happened to you in the past, when you feel the shuggle in your values, you go, something's not right here. And that is where values live, right here in the heart. Now, most Scottish lassies that I know, right? And I don't know where it is that you are in the world, and you might be able to relate to this as well, so it might not be solely for Scottish lassies. We have been told, you're too sensitive, you're too emotional, don't ask for anything. And my favourite from my mum, You'd cry if your arse was on fire. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Right? But what this taught us was that we had to push our feelings down. Or even better, what it taught us was if we ignore them, then they will go away. Feelings are not a weakness. And I mean, but all this does is actually invite other emotions that might not be as helpful along to the arena, right? So, hi judgment, come on in, have a seat. Oh, hi comparison, how you doing? Oh, worthlessness, I've not seen you for a while. That's all it done. That's all it does for us. If we distract and avoid our emotions, what happens is other emotions will come in place of it. Emotions such as judgment, worthlessness, resentment. Welcome to the party. I know you can relate. I see you smiling and nodding. But emotions are like the warning signs on your car, right? They're like the warning lights on the dashboard of your car. And these lights will be maybe even going off like a Christmas tree, bing, 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 bing. And if you ignore them, or even if you put stickers on them, or you might even la, 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 this isn't happening, they're still going to be there, all right? And what will happen is eventually the car will break down and you'll have to get something to fix it because you weren't actually paying attention to the warning signs that the car was sending you that it needed you to do something. When in fact, when these lights showed up in the first place, it would have been a good idea to take the car to the garage. When in fact, if these sort of feelings, or I kind of like to call it tugging at the heartstrings, if we were just to stop for a moment and listen to what was going on for us, then it might be that we would avoid having to sit with those uninvited guests that we spoke about earlier on. Feelings are not a weakness. I will repeat this. Feelings are not a weakness. For those in the back, feelings are not a weakness, okay? One of the biggest things that I see when people come into the coaching room with me is that they've lived their lives living up to the expectation of other people. And that's probably one of the reasons why they're here in the chair talking to me. And when they've tried so hard to be that perfect version of what other people think, they become disconnected from themselves. So they're no longer able to sort of sit and say, what is it that I want? They've now kind of turned that attention outwards, and they're now living from the space and place of, okay, what are the expectations? What are the judgments? What are the opinions of other people? And where does that get you? Burnt out, overwhelmed, and absolutely exhausted. I might have used the F word there, but I'll not today. And this is all because they've turned off the switch to the calling of their inner heart, to the calling of their inner being. And that's really quite sad. And that is why people can feel adrift. That is why people can feel disconnected to themselves. But the heart, if we listen, if we take a moment and really listen, it will tell us who we are beneath all of the noise. It will show us who we are beneath all of the overthinking, beneath all the fears and the worries, and the expectations too. The heart asks you to consider, what is it that you want more of? The heart also asks us to consider, what is it that you want less of? And if you get quiet right now, you might even be able to hear what the heart has to say to you. You might even be able to notice and pay attention to it if you're quiet enough. In my opinion, a big misconception in the world of personal growth is that confidence must come first. I don't believe this to be true. I believe that before confidence, there is another quality that comes first. And this quality weaves itself through that inner council. It weaves itself through the head, the heart, and the gut. And this quality is connection. So when we can connect into the heart, we can pay attention to our values, we can pay attention to compassion, we can pay attention to our wants and our needs. And confidence, it just shows up as a byproduct. It's the connection that comes first. And the connection comes first because we've stopped long enough to listen to our heart's desires. A really important point for you to note is that, yes, the heart is the house of love, compassion, kindness, values. It holds all that there. But it also holds sadness, it also holds grief, it also holds rejection too. So I don't want to sort of, this isn't a channel of good vibes only, And if you are somebody who has walked through life and you've been avoiding and you've been distracting yourself from feeling the feelings of sadness, grief, rejection, that kind of thing, then yes, sitting in the heart might feel like a very scary place to sit. But what I want to encourage you to do is I want you to dip your toe in. And I just want you to kind of almost imagine as if you're having a seat just now in the heart, having a conversation with it. What is it that it needs in this moment? And you might find that yes, sadness, grief, rejection, or whatever else might show up. And it might be emotions that you're not used to or that you would avoid and try and kind of shut the door on. But I invite you to sit with them, dip the toe in, allow yourself to just be curious as to what it is that these emotions need as well. Because when we sort of decide to ignore them, it is like we are ignoring the lights that are flashing away in the car. It is almost as if we are sort of doing the la la la, can't hear you, can't see you. They're still there anyway. So if we meet them with a sense of curiosity, then I'm wondering what it would be like for you to have that moment with the heart to say, what is it that I need here? And it might be that all the heart wanted you to ever do is just sit and acknowledge that that was blooming hard, whatever it was that you went through. Or do you know what? That sucked. That really, really sucked. And it's that recognition that the heart hadn't had because you'd spent too much time avoiding it, too much time pretending that it wasn't there at all. But if you do actually open up and say, right, okay, what is it that you need? You might find that the heart settles, that the heart says, okay, I'm being listened to. And that the heart doesn't have to sort of tug too hard at your emotions for you to pay attention. In fact, when we do sit and we have conversations with our heart, it might even be like having a conversation that you would have with a really good friend of yours. And it might sound something like, hello you, how are you? And listen to what the heart has to say. And it might be that you leave that interaction just feeling so much better about yourself, just feeling so much more peaceful, calm, and loving towards yourself. Now, like I said at the start, full disclosure, I am an absolute romantic. I love the work of the heart. I imagine the heart to be, or everybody's heart in the world to be like a big row of Care Bears. Everybody's just got these big wide open hearts. But I encourage you that if you find it difficult to sit in the seat of your heart and listen, I encourage you just to even set a timer, even just for 10 seconds, to say, hey, what's going on here? Just have it, listen, get quiet, really listen. But most importantly of all, please be gentle with yourself. You're a work in progress. Tell your heart I said hi.